God, life is good.
Ladies and gentlemen, today I have a special treat for you. We're comparing the AP1 and AP2 S2000s. I'm currently driving a 2004 AP2 S2000 in gorgeous Rio Pearl Yellow. And both of these cars are actually totally stock. As you guys may have seen in a prior video, I drove an AP2 S2000 for the first time. And I'm not gonna lie, it feels really good to be back in the driver's seat of one of these cars. This is the AP2, that one's the AP1, that's the 2001, this is the 2004. And I gotta say, this is a familiar feeling. I like this feeling. Oh yes. What this car was made for. So yeah, being back in this car, it's a familiar feeling. I like it. Obviously, one issue I have right off the bat is just the ergonomics because it is not tall person friendly. I'm 6'1", long legs. So either my legs are happy and my arms are really straight, or my arms are happy and then my legs are really cramped. Now for those who don't know, the AP2 has a lower red line by 1,000 RPM. So 8,000 rather than 9,000. Peak torque also occurs at 6,500 rather than at 7,500 RPM. But both of these have the actual throttle cable. It's not throttle by wire because that only happened in the 2006 and onwards Honda S2000 AP2. And this is a 2004. So we still have that very immediate throttle response. I've already noticed that the heel towing is easier. The throttle blips, I can smack the accelerator with my heel for a shorter period of time to match the revs compared to the other AP2 I drove in that other video, where I had to be a little bit more aggressive. My God. Legit the best transmission I have ever used in a manual transmission vehicle. This is perfect, man. Now the steering is still a somewhat major, I should say, drawback to this car. It just doesn't fit the rest of everything else is just so good. The steering holds it back ever so slightly. But I mean, with the top down on these windy California roads, 7 in the morning on a Sunday, life is good. Life is good. Now, apart from the red line and the torque, both do have 6,000 RPM for that VTEC. And now the spring rates in the AP2 are softer. The whole suspension is actually set up for a little bit more understeer versus oversteer. The first gen was a little bit more razor edge. This was a little bit more refined, a little bit softer. Has a heavier flywheel as well. This road though, oh my goodness. Gearing as well in this second generation is a little bit shorter. I believe it's like 2nd through 4th or 5th. Don't quote me on that, but the gearing is definitely different. Some people say that the transmission, because of the gearing in the AP2, is better, so you can actually combine the AP1 engine with the AP2 transmission, and a lot of people do favor that combination rather than one or the other. The steering ratio in the AP2 is also a little bit slower, and you know, the steering feels not as heavy as I would like in a car like this. It's a little bit lighter than I would expect. Again, first gen EPS. It's not the most well, no, it is accurate. It's not the most it is accurate and precise, but it doesn't give the most feedback. It's not the most calibrated with weight compared to modern iterations of electric power steering. But goddamn, every time I get into one of these cars, man, I'm like, I gotta get one. Because right now I'm on the list to get a new GR86, but these cars they're just so good. It's a different experience, right? And the issue is just like I would get tired on longer drives because right now my legs are pretty cramped. I wonder if I can get this to telescope out, because if so, then I may start looking for one. Oh, baby! God, life is good. Man, the way this car makes you feel. It's bouncing up, it's absorbing these bounces not too poorly. God. Man, the way this car makes you feel, it's like if you live on a coast and you have windy roads next to the ocean, like we're in right now in LA, then, I mean, this just is, it feels right. It feels like you're in a storybook and everything is just picture perfect. It's just that good. Except for the ergonomics for tall people. But other than that, picture perfect, man. Like if you could dial in the ergonomics for the seating position as well, and maybe if you're a shorter person, you don't care about that. Maybe you're fine as is. And if you just improve the steering a little bit, oh, this car would be perfect. Yo, I gotta say, great place to cycle. I would love to bring my bike out here. Just as long as there aren't any hooligans in a S2000. Yes. Oh my God. This is what I like. Now going up these hills, I have more power, more torque than the AP1. So it's more him slowing me down than the other way right now. But that's okay. We're having a great time as we fly up this mountain. A little bit of understeer. Honda S2000 AP1. This is the 2001. My God, this red light. I'm expecting to be shifting at like 8,000. It just keeps going. Okay, right away, yeah, wow. That faster steering ratio makes a pretty significant difference actually in the feel. It just feels a little bit more sporty. Again, I'm a snob when it comes to steering. Yeah, wow. The red light though. Okay, so yeah, the faster steering ratio makes a pretty big difference in my mind. It feels a little bit heavier weighted too, which is, you know, expected with the faster ratio. In terms of the feedback and feel, still very similar to the AP2. Still pretty much lacking. And you can tell the lighter flywheel because between upshifts, the revs fall very quickly actually. Very fast. So I need to kind of recalibrate how quickly I let go of the clutch to make my shift smoother. And that one, it's more similar to what I'm used to in most modern era cars, including my FRS. Whereas in this one, I need to be a little bit faster with my shifts. And I think for just puttering around town, that is a little bit better calibrated. But for more spirited driving, the lighter flywheel and the faster changes to the engine RPM are definitely, you know, better suited. Yeah, so the power going uphill, you can feel the difference, right? And also the gearing. Those two things combined make going uphill a little bit more sluggish, which isn't necessarily, well, it's not necessarily a terrible thing, right? Because it encourages you to really wring out the car a little bit more. This AP1 just feels a little bit more razor edge, a little bit more feisty. If the AP2 is more refined and almost more American is the analogy I would give you, because it's a little bit more just, you know, Americans, we like the comfort, we like the bigger is better, that kind of thing. I feel like the AP2 leans into that, whereas this feels a little bit more purpose-built. It feels a little bit more razor edge. But God, I would be happy with either one. They're both such great cars. I like the steering in the AP1 a little bit more. I like the engine, well, I like the higher red line, but the other engine characteristics in terms of power and torque are better in the AP2. The transmission in the AP2, because we have shorter gear ratios. So if I could like pick and choose little bits and pieces, which you can do if you wanted to, do that in the aftermarket, you could make your perfect S2000. What amazing vehicles. Truly amazing vehicles. You know, the owner of these cars is such a cool guy. He has both an AP1 and an AP2 because in his mind, the differences are significant enough to warrant owning both. He feels that they each give a different driving experience. If I had to choose one, right now, my gut says AP1. The reason being, I like that, I mean, first of all, I'm a huge sucker for steering, as you guys know, and I think the faster ratio is more enjoyable to me. But I like that razor edge feeling. I like that lighter flywheel. I like that this car is also a little bit tuned for more oversteer rather than understeer of the AP2, with the sway bars and the spring rates. Because when I'm getting into one of these cars, it depends on what you're optimizing for. And if I'm getting into a convertible sports car, then I really want to lean into that fully. I want to have the full, intense, razor sharp experience not necessarily a comfortable cruiser. Not that the AP2 is a comfortable cruiser, but if you are on a spectrum, the AP2 is a little bit shifted more in that direction compared to the AP1. My God. What amazing cars. Yeah, with that lighter flywheel, I don't have to be on the throttle as much for my heel toes, which I also like. Hello, officer. I'm completely behaving myself. Nothing to see here. Man, if I lived in this neighborhood, I would just be driving every day. Now, with regards to the suspension, again, these are both bone stock, so you can change all this stuff with the aftermarket, but even mid-corner, I can feel that my throttle input is giving way to more rotational changes in this AP1 versus in the AP2. And again, that's something with the suspension that you can change in the aftermarket, but just stock for stock, this one is a little bit more, again, tuned and set up for that sports car focus. That really pure driving experience. All right, my friends, I want to hear from you. Which one would you choose, AP1 or AP2? They obviously have their own pros and cons, their strengths and weaknesses, but both phenomenal vehicles. Let me know with a comment down below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in that next one.
I thought you might enjoy a little.
Holy shit.
Yeah. More fun.
Dude, oh my God, this... Actually, I want to hear from you. You have both of these.
Yeah.
Why do you have both of these cars?
I mean, so I bought this one thinking, oh, it's a better S2000, right? But it ended up being that this is a better sports car. That's a better S2000.
Interesting. Better sports car, better S2000. Why do you say that?
So like this feels like much more refined, a little more planted, less twitchy. You know, you have the torque, like even at like driving around town, right? You have like the power to go. That thing, like off the line, you're like last in place, right?
I actually like this one more. I'm surprised.
So I kept it. I ended up keeping it because I'm like, but that thing is so much more fun and it's so much more visceral when you're at the higher RPM, and that 1000 RPM feels like fucking 5000.
Yeah.
Like I get to that 8000 here real fast.
So the higher red line is the most obvious, I guess, strength that this has over that. The most obvious one that everyone talks about. Okay, 9000 versus 8000. But everyone says, oh, that one's more refined, it's better, it's, you know, blah, blah, blah. I like this one more because it feels more razor edge. That twitchiness, when I'm mid-corner and I give it some throttle, I can feel it rotating much more on smaller inputs. Yep. The steering ratio being faster means it's slightly heavier, as well as it just feels a little bit quicker. So to me, this is a more engaging driving experience. That one feels like an American version of a Japanese sports car. This one feels like a raw Japanese sports car.
Yeah, so like given this has low mileage and it's like mint, it's more of my, I think about this as like a cruiser slash like, you know, go fast, but like I would take my daughter out for ice cream kind of thing. And that car is like, take it out late at night when no one's on the road and just fucking rip it. And you can rip it around like an area like this and feel like I don't have to go to the crest to have fun in that car. Versus like any of the Porsches or whatever, it's like you're driving here and it feels like you're not even getting out of like first gear.
Oh wow.
This thing, it's like I'm ripping at 9000 and like everyone around me might be going faster. You know what I mean? Like the Camry next to me might be going faster, but I can't tell. I'm in my own fucking world.
Well, this encourages they both encourage the slow car fast mentality, yeah. Right? This one probably a little bit more so because it's lower on power and has the higher RPM.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the only thing that's like, I guess this can be a little more fun when there's like traffic and stuff, because you're changing gears more often.
Shorter gearing on that one.
You have to kind of change the gears. Whereas that one, like, you don't have to. The sounds tell you maybe should. But that was the biggest thing with that car is like, it took me so like years to get over the fact that I shouldn't listen to the engine. Just look at the fucking tach. Versus like this one, you listen to the engine and, you know, it's more normal, I guess.
Yeah.
Like this one doesn't feel to me like a high revving car.
Which is, that's only because this is your comparison though.
Probably.
Because if you were driving like most other cars, it would, but because this is the baseline,
Yeah.
that extra 1,000 going up to 9,000, it makes that feel less special.
And that thing screams at you when you're like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, "Rah!" and you're like not going that fast, but it's fun, you know. It's fun. I'm gonna grab a coffee from my coffee shop here. Is that cool?
Yeah, man.
Okay, and then after that, you wanna head back to the
I think golf course would be good for B-roll.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
And then there's also like ocean type areas.
That would be great too.
Okay, I'm trying to think of like. But if you like the golf course, that's the easiest.
Let's do that.